Newswatch 16's live special coverage on WNEP2.
8 o'clock in the p.m. in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. The polls are officially closed for everyone, unless I guess if you're standing in line, you are still allowed to get in to vote. But we are on the air on WNEP2. Great to have you with us here on election night, primary election night 2021. The familiar face to my right is Corey O'Brien, our political analyst for tonight, former Lackawanna County Commissioner, former Democratic Commissioner. Good to have you back.
Thank you very much. We're going to have a fun night.
Excited about this night?
This is the Super Bowl. You know, we think about the presidential elections, but if you're really into politics, the local elections, they matter most. They matter tonight, and I'm super excited about it.
We have the one special election for state Senate where Democrats and Republicans are competing against each other, as well as a couple of third and fourth party candidates there. We have nominations for judge in a number of counties, which is always interesting. 2 open seats in Luzern, 2 open seats in Schuylkill, an open seat in Lackawanna, and an open seat out west in Union Snyder.
Well, I can't wait to start talking about the strategy of some candidates. You're going to bring that up in some of those races. It's going to be interesting to see how those judicial races turn out. Remember, again, this is that nomination. Who are we going to put forward as a party in that general election? So it's going to be a fun night. There's going to be a lot in those judicial races to look for. I think partnering, teammates and things like that will have an impact in some of those races. So it's going to be interesting as we start to dissect those races to see how that's going to play out. We've got some real exciting races to talk about tonight.
And even though this is the primary election, we could have definitive answers for the fall after the election. All the votes are counted tonight.
In several of those races, we'll have winners.
All right. Plenty to talk about besides judges and state senate. We have also mayoral races in a number. I'm looking at all the communities here: Athens, Avoca, Beech Creek, Berwick, Danville, Montoursville. There's all kinds of mayor's races in a lot of small towns and in one big city.
Mayors matter. We think about presidents of the United States, we think about governors, we think about other executives in government. Mayors matter. It's about garbage collection. It's about paving the roads. It's about stop signs. It's about parks and recreation. It's where politics and government matter most. Oftentimes we'll take the label and we'll put that aside in local politics, and we'll really just select people based on either job performance or a lack thereof. So it'll be interesting to see how some of those play out.
What do you hear about turnout today?
I think turnout's going to be average. I think we'll see average turnout. With respect to turnout of people coming to the polls, I would suggest to you that we're going to continue to see a surge in, kind of that mail-in ballot type situation. So it'll be interesting. I'm hopeful that elections high turnout will be the norm instead of super low turnout. So I'm crossing my fingers that the mail-in ballot option is something that people are sticking to and voting in droves. So we'll see. I'm really hopeful of a high turnout, but only time's going to tell.
What race do you think brought out the most voters today? Judges or the special election, the ballot questions?
Yeah, wow, that's a tough one. Early on, you're gonna quiz me on something.
3.5 minutes.
3.5 minutes in, and I already get a tough question.
Exactly.
I would say to you, I think that the localized races are going to be the races that draw people out the most. Those mayoral races in local towns, they typically get supporters who are a lot more fired up. The further away you get, sometimes the less momentum you may have and energy on the ground. Those real localized races have a tendency to really bring out the support, really bring out the energy. So I would look at those mayoral races in small towns and a big town throughout the area as being real drivers. It's hard in a judicial race to get people very excited. You'll have your personal contacts, you'll have a party endorsement potentially, you'll be knocking on doors, but it's hard to do that. It's easier to do that in a localized borough, in a city. So I would suggest to you that those local races will be the driver of our turnout tonight.
We have a lot to talk about. We're going to get into all of these topics in greater detail. We're killing a little bit of time here off the top of the show for a reason, and that is because we are expecting to hear from the mayor of Scranton at about 8:15, which is about 10 minutes from now, in an unorthodox announcement so early in the evening. I don't know if we want to get into this right now. We're going to take a break, and we're going to come back and talk in depth about the race, the Democratic primary for mayor of Scranton, because the race is not over. There's a Republican nominee ready and willing to go in the fall against whoever wins. But why don't we take the quick break now, and then we're going to come back and talk about this race in depth leading up to the 8:15 scheduled appearance by the mayor of Scranton. What's she going to say, Corey O'Brien?
Maybe an unprecedented statement. We'll see.
We'll talk about that more when we come back here on WNEP2 Election Night 2021.
Vehicle's manufacturer warranty is expired or is about to run out. You'll be on the hook for unexpected repairs. Breakdowns used to mean paying thousands out of pocket. Until now. Introducing Endurance Advantage, a vehicle protection plan with extensive breakdown coverage plus routine maintenance.
As a mechanic, I see it all the time. A customer doesn't keep up with their regular maintenance and it leads to a breakdown or worse, disqualifies their warranty.
No matter how many miles your car has, if it's under 20 years old, Endurance has you covered. That means insurance plus Endurance equals total protection. From oil and filter changes to brake pad and wiper blade replacements, Advantage provides maintenance coverage up to $3,500 per year.
With Endurance Advantage, you'll never worry about paying for covered auto repairs or regular maintenance again.
Call 800-303-6231 for a free quote. That's 800-303-6231.
Introducing Stardust Casino. One of Las Vegas's most iconic and trusted casinos is now online with more games, more bonuses, and more fun. Play your favorite slots and table games for real money right on your phone. Get the classic Vegas experience online. Sign up today. Stardust Casino. Tap into the golden age of gaming. Play your first 24 hours risk-free up to $200.
This is Pretty Litter, the world's smartest cat litter. Its ultralight, super absorbent formula traps odors, and its crystals change colors to help you monitor your cat's health. Plus, Pretty Litter offers free delivery. Order today at prettylitter.com.
We need some help.
I know. I'm going to cashnetusa.com. And if approved, we can have the money in our account as soon as the same business day.
Go to cashnetusa.com to apply for the money.
Primary election night here on WNEP2. Great to have you with us. Just about 7 minutes after 8 o'clock. At some point tonight, we'll start to see the numbers come in. And when they do, we will have them for you first right here on WNEP2 and on WNEP.com. When the candidates come out to address their supporters, the few of them, the handful that are actually having events like that tonight, we'll have that for you as much as we can here on WNEP2. So this is your election night stop, and we have a lot to talk about. In 7 minutes, the mayor of Scranton is scheduled to step forward and address her supporters. At 8:15 on election night, this is Paige Cognetti. She's running for the remainder of the term of which she's already serving part of. She replaced Bill Courtright after his legal difficulties and criminal conviction. She won the special election to replace him as an independent. So now she's running in another special election for the last 2 years of his term. That's right. So yes. A lot of elections for Paige Cognetti, but she comes in as the incumbent. She's running against the former city controller John Murray, who's a well-known name in Democratic politics in Scranton for a long time. Paige Cognetti certainly doesn't run away from the fact that she was not born and raised in Scranton. She's from the other side of the country, as a matter of fact. She married into a very prominent family from Scranton, and she is now the mayor. And she's, run an interesting campaign, a solid campaign. She ran a great campaign to win in the first place, and you really can't throw any shade at this campaign either.
She ran a great campaign. John Murray, right off the bat, is salt of the earth, an incredible person. So he's a great candidate. However, the momentum with respect to Paige Cognetti is infectious. Her ad, which we'll talk a little bit about in a few minutes, is just really a progressive, fast-paced ad, which is good. From a job performance standpoint, do you have anything really big that has been a problem with respect to her? When I think of elections, especially mayoral elections, these local elections, you think about 4 or 5 core components. One, fundraising. How did she do there? Voter registration, not a big factor with respect to this race, but typically a big factor. Job performance, and is this a change election? So from a job performance standpoint, she's probably fine. Right? From a voter registration standpoint, not an issue. From a fundraising standpoint, I would think she raised significant amount of money with respect to from a fundraising standpoint. Does she have some momentum? Is this a change election? Probably not a change election. Maybe the first non-change election that we've seen in the last several years, right? With respect to started really with Donald Trump, Joe Biden, probably a change candidate too, in and of himself. And now here we are in this off-year election, and maybe it's the first year that politics is starting to settle a little bit, and it's really not a change election. So in that situation, you have a progressive individual who's holding the mayor's office now, runs a real solid campaign. From a job performance standpoint, has been fine, if not better than fine. What do you have to run on to unseat that type of person? Not a lot. Not a lot.
The change issue hasn't really manifested itself on a local level yet. You talked about fundraising, you talked about voter registration. What you did not talk about was the importance of a sensational collection of footwear, as we are going to see right now in Paige Cognetti's television ad.
Scranton, a city known for hardworking people, and too often politicians that fall short. Then Paige Cognetti came along with a simple vision.
Government should work as hard as the people it serves.
She beat the machine that held us back and got to work. She turned down the city car, donated part of her salary to help folks, overhauled the way government operates to get results, fixed roads, painted crosswalks, replaced street signs. She listened. Town halls in every neighborhood. And when the pandemic hit, she got moving while Washington left us behind. She cut red tape, gave out PPE and money to dozens of small businesses, managed the city to a budget surplus, and fought new taxes.
We did things differently for the people.
She's changed a government that worked for a few to make it ours.
This is our city. We're going to make this city as great as the people it serves.
Paige Cognetti, the mayor.
As Scranton's mayor, John Murray will lower residents' taxes, reduce garbage fees, and repair our parks with tourist dollars. Paige Cognetti authored a Scranton School District tax increase, then quit the school board before the vote for a short job in Harrisburg. Cognetti also presented an unbalanced city budget and refused to sign the council's unanimously passed balanced version. Our city deserves to be more than a rung up someone's political ladder. John Murray cares about the citizens of Scranton. He'll stay here.
Thoughts, Corey O'Brien?
Yeah, a few things. One, I love the Paige Cognetti ad.
Yeah, and she had a great ad in the first special election.
She did. Well. The tempo was great, fast moving. The shoes, I think there's a few different messages there. One, big shoes to fill. Those shoes are women's shoes. I think that's an important, subtle message with respect to that, and always moving forward. You know, the tempo was a moving forward, fast-paced tempo. I loved everything about it. I think that's a winning ad. I think it's probably the best ad that we have seen the entire election cycle in any of these races. And the John Murray ad is a stark contrast to that ad. Think about the last thing you're going to remember, and the last thing you're going to think about is the statement, you know, he's going to stay here. He'll live here. You know, political ladder, climbing the political ladder. Nobody cares. Those are just not issues that resonate with voters. Insiders, inside political groups, they like throwing jabs like that. I remember my own campaigns, those kind of insider groups that throw jabs like that at me. Silly stuff. They wasted time in an ad that's expensive to throw things in there just so that they could kind of do that, and it doesn't resonate. So you have an ad that really kind of falls short. And on the other side, you have an uplifting, fast-paced ad that I just thought was outstanding and probably wins her the election.
We are having some technical difficulties in downtown Scranton. Mayor Cognetti is scheduled to speak in the 500 block of Lackawanna, which, if you know Scranton, has been completely refurbished. It's beautiful architecture, and there's a little courtyard in the middle of it. And I presume she's going to speak from there, but we don't have that available for you right now. 8:15. What's she going to say?
Well, that's a great question. It'd be unprecedented for her to claim victory at 8:15. It just would be very early. That's not a mistake you want to make. Having said that, though, from a political apparatus standpoint, when I was in office and we were running campaigns, we would know within 20 to 25 minutes or so as to whether or not we won the election. All of our poll watchers would have numbers in immediately. So can she know at 8:15? She can. That would be an aggressive time frame. It would be a first in modern politics to declare victory that early during the night. But it would not be totally unprecedented nationally. Oftentimes where there are sophisticated voting machines and things like that, you can get a quick turnaround like that. Our voting system is a little more disconnected, even though it is electronic, so it doesn't work that quickly. So the only way that she could really claim a victory is to have those poll workers call in the numbers, see a huge margin, and move on from there. I'm sure she has polling in this race, and the polling probably has her, I'm suggesting, probably way up in any polls that she has done. That'd be another reason she'd have a little bit of confidence in potentially making a really historically early announcement come 8:15, but I guess we'll wait and see.
1988, John Hines beat Joe Vignola in a re-election bid for U.S. Senate, and I swear to God, Vignola conceded at about 8:08 that night. It was over, and the margin was as large as you might think. Does Murray have a chance to win this?
I don't think so.
We're going to take a quick break. We obviously don't have Mayor Cognetti. If she is speaking, our apologies. We're working on that as we speak. What we do have is early numbers. We have some numbers at 1:15, and we'll be right back with them here on WNEP2.
I would never expected that my sunroof would have cost me $1,600. Thankfully, I had insurance, and it was covered.
I saw the bill was over $1,200. What I paid was a $100 deductible.
As a mechanic, I always recommend my customers have an auto protection plan. You never know when a breakdown can strike, and you need coverage you can count on.
A broken AC unit costs over $1,800, transmission over $3,000, and an engine over $4,000.
In the lifespan of my policy with Endurance, I've had 5 claims. That is $3,500 that I've kept in my pocket.
Call now and we'll upgrade you to an Endurance Elite membership free with thousands of dollars of benefits at no extra cost. We offer affordable down payments, low monthly plans, and a money-back guarantee.
So don't drive another second without total protection from Endurance.
Call 800-316-1461 for a free quote. That's 800-316-1461.
This is Pretty Litter, the world's smartest cat litter. Its ultralight, super absorbent formula traps odors, and its crystals change colors to help you monitor your cat's health. Plus, Pretty Litter offers free delivery. Order today at prettylitter.com.
I want a lean, hard, sexy body. Where do I start?
The fitness headquarters.
I want muscular arms and jacked abs.
Go to the fitness headquarters.
I just want to lose some weight.
Ask the fitness gurus at the fitness headquarters. Plus, build your home gym and get huge savings like these. Buy where the gyms buy. From the experts at the fitness headquarters. Come and ask the fitness headquarters how to reach your goals. Weight loss, muscle building, recovery. Now's the time to work out at home. Visit the fitness headquarters.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. Everything keeps changing. I'm sure glad you're here.
There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer.
18 minutes after 8 o'clock here on WNEP2. I think these are our earliest numbers yet.
This is a record.
Usually it's another 25 minutes to a half hour at least until we start to get some numbers. We have them in now, and let's take a look at that special election for state senate. We haven't talked about this much tonight. We are about to talk about it, but this is a special election to finish out the existing term of what would have been Senator John Blake's term. Senator Blake chose to step down at the beginning of the year for his own reasons, and so now we have a special election. Marty Flynn is the veteran state representative from the West Scranton area. Chris Schermack is the first-term Republican county commissioner in Lackawanna County. A lot to talk about here. You saw the numbers. Flynn has the early lead. Flynn has the overwhelming advantage in terms of voter registration. Schermak, uphill battle from the get-go. Thoughts on this race?
Yeah, a few things. I've known Marty Flynn his whole life, my whole life. Chris Schermak, I'm very partial to county commissioners, so I am thrilled that a county commissioner is in this race, and Chris Schermak's a terrific person. Here's the issue with respect to this race in my mind. It's doing the math. What's the path to victory for each of these candidates? Look at the voter registration totals. Democrats in this district, 57%, 31% Republicans, 13% independents. If the historic trends follow, Marty Flynn is an easy winner in that race if the Democratic numbers hold. Now, how does a Chris Schermak win the race? He's got to convince at least 26% or so, maybe a little bit more, 26% or so of Democrats and independents to come to him so that he can offset Marty Flynn's Democratic registration. Now, think about Marlene Sebastianelli, who some would consider to be the most qualified in the race. She's she's looking at a 13% number for independent voters. What does she need to do? She needs 27, 28% to just get Marty Flynn off from the winning road there, and Chris Schermak wins. So Chris Schermak's path to victory is a difficult one. Marlene Sebastianelli has to really overperform. He has to overperform among Democrats, and he's run really more of a Republican-style campaign. So it's just going to be difficult for him to overcome the voting margins in this race. Even though he's a really tremendous person and probably doing an excellent job as a county commissioner, that's going to be tough. Marlene Sebastianelli, again, oftentimes people are saying that she's the most qualified, but as an independent, it's just very difficult to do that. So Marty Flynn, tonight, he's in the driver's seat, and he's in the driver's seat with a comfortable margin.
And the ads that the candidates ran, certainly a contrast. We have them. I guess we'll start with Representative Flynn.
Chris Schermak raised our taxes, lied, and got caught lying. Now he wants us to trust him? No way. That's why nurses, police, and labor unions support Marty Flynn. So do local leaders like Bob Casey, Bridget Malloy-Kozarowski, and Kyle Mullen, because Marty fought against a higher gas tax and pushed for corporations to pay more, because Marty expanded health care and helped make prescription drugs cheaper. On Tuesday, vote for Democrat Marty Flynn. He stands up for working people.
There you go. Yeah, very good. I thought his ad campaign was very strong, Representative Flynn.
There's three kinds of ads, right? There's a positive ad, there's a negative ad, and there's a contrasting ad. Positive ad is going to build up the favorables. Negative ad is going to reduce your opponent's favorables and your own. Contrasting ad tries to, have that subtle balance of reducing the favorables of your opponent while also building yourself up. That's a classic contrasting ad, and not a bad one. I'm not so sure that it reduced Chris Schermak's favorables, but I think it probably bolstered Marty Flynn's a little bit.
And here's the numbers we have again: 2% reporting, and Flynn with the early lead. No surprise, but you never know where those 2%. If that's 2% out of West Scranton, that could actually be good news for Schermak.
Well, and it typically is, right? I mean, 2%. It's going to be in the city. That's going to be where the Democratic strength is going to lie.
Yes.
The outside areas of that district will tend to be more Republican. That's where Chris Schermak's strength will be.
Schermak's ad, again, the contrast between that and the ad from Representative Flynn.
Marty Flynn is lying to us. Flynn voted with Tom Wolf 100% of the time to shut down small businesses and crash our economy. Flynn says he's pro-cop, but he signed a pledge to defund them. He says he's for lower taxes, but he supported billions in higher taxes on us. Flynn promised to turn down perks, but took pay raises and per diems. Flynn has made it clear he's not a fighter. He's a fraud.
Well, I'd say that's a negative ad.
Yeah, that's a negative ad. It's probably going to hurt Chris Schermak because typically the negatives, it'll bring them down and it'll bring you down. The interesting thing about that ad, one of the things that I'd be a little bit nervous about is who are you appealing to?
Yeah.
Who are you appealing to? You need Democratic votes. So going after the Democratic candidate won't necessarily drive Democratic votes to you. I think that was misplayed. I think it was a political mistake to run an ad like that in an overwhelmingly Democratic district. That just strikes me to be a mistake. That strikes me to be a Republican ad out of Harrisburg that's not crafted to what you need to do. You need to really do everything you can to bring Democrats in. That's a red meat Republican ad.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's to the base, drive the base. The base is 31%. The base isn't going to win this election. You need Democrats and independents. It's not going to do that. Even with independents, if you get all 13% of the independents, that brings you to 44%. Marty Flynn's got 57. It's not going to do it. You need Democrats. You need to bring Democrats over. If he was going to hit with a negative, he should have done a contrasting negative, should have hit Marty and then built up his own name recognition. He's a county commissioner, but hasn't been there for long. So from a name ID standpoint, he's not going to have that much. So in any ad that you're investing in, should have had a positive side to him in the ad at the end to bolster his own appeal and favorabilities. I think it was a lost opportunity.
And something more hometown, as you said, that was right out of the Harrisburg GOP playbook. Yeah, it was just not tailored to what would be more successful here in this senatorial district in northeastern Pennsylvania.
You need to appeal to Democrats. He needs Democrats to win the seat. Plain and simple, and that ad missed the mark.
You say that if there is a puncher shot for Schermack, it comes via Sebastianelli having a better showing. Before you get to that, let's look at her ad. And impressive that the Green Party candidate has an ad.
More American than you.
Okay, you're more American than me.
Sick of all the politics and no progress? That's why I'm running as a third-party candidate for Pennsylvania State Senate. My name is Marlene Sebastianelli. As the owner and operator of 2 small businesses with years of experience working in healthcare administration and a long history of volunteerism, I'm ready to serve the state of Pennsylvania. So come out on May 18th.
Yeah, slapped it on a plastic lunchbox.
Vote Sebastianelli for Senate to stop the noise and get things done.
Cute.
I love the ad. I love it. In a change election year, it would have more, it would resonate better in a change election year. But listen, I think Marlene Sebastianelli has a future in politics if that's what she wants to do. If she wants to serve in public office, she has a future in it. As an independent, that's probably not going to work out. We have to realize that the district demographics here and the Republican and Democratic numbers in this district, it just don't work for her as an independent.
All right, our Elizabeth Worthington is with the Schermack campaign in downtown Scranton at the Hilton. We'll check in with her. Good evening, Elizabeth.
Yeah, hey Scott, this is what Lackawanna County Commissioner Chris Schermack is hoping will turn into a victory party a little bit later tonight. His opponent, Marty Flynn, the state representative for the 113th district, is just a couple of miles away at the Waldorf Social Club, hoping for the same thing. Now, unlike the other primary races today, whoever wins this special election tonight, that's it. They are the state senator who will fill the seat left open by longtime Senator John Blake, who, as you said, he stepped down rather suddenly in February, and he stepped down rather suddenly just a few weeks after the start of the legislative year, and the winner of the election tonight will serve out the remainder of his term, which ends in November of 2022. So both Schermack and Flynn ran on platforms of promising to fight for the area's working families, touting their own records as members of the working class. Flynn as a former corrections officer, a former small business owner, and a boxer. Schermack as a member of the Clark Summit Fire Company, a member of the Elk Mountain Speed Patrol, and the general manager of his family's auto business. But the race was a bitter one, as you guys just saw in those attack ads. But it came first with the county Republicans trying to get Flynn thrown off the ballot for a filing error with his nomination. Obviously, that did not go through. Schermack specifically ran on a promise to, quote, stand up to Governor Wolf and fight for small businesses, which he says both Flynn and Wolf kept closed for too long during the pandemic. Schermack was hoping that would bring more voters to the polls today, but turnout was pretty low here in Lackawanna County.
Well, I'm a little surprised, but over the past couple months, talking to people and knocking on doors, a lot of people are disgusted and said, my vote doesn't count, so I'm not voting anymore. So I tried to convince them that's not the case and to get out there, but hey, it showed today that some of them aren't coming out.
And Chermak also said he's hoping that if elected, he would be able to get more done because he'd have a Republican majority behind him. Right now, he's a minority commissioner, so he says he's really not able to get a lot done. We will be heading to Marty Flynn's campaign event next. I don't think he's supposed to get there until a little bit later, but you can expect to hear from him at some point tonight. Elizabeth Worthington, Newswatch 16, reporting live in downtown Scranton.
Thank you very much for that, Elizabeth. We have a lot more to talk about this race and all the races that are still to be discussed on election night, just about 8:30 here on a Tuesday evening, primary night in Pennsylvania. Quick break here on the Deuce, and we will be right back.
Stars Casino by PokerStars.
There are hundreds of casino games to choose from, and they're adding new ones all the time.
Your favorite games right at your fingertips. Stars Casino.
It's great. It's convenient. You don't have to get out of your house. You can just play right from your couch.
What's better than that? To sit back, relax, and just get on a winning streak from the convenience of your own home. That's why I play PokerStars.
Sign up today at starscasino.com to claim your free $50 bonus.
Bureau Septic and Drain Cleaning salutes our healthcare professionals, first responders, and all essential workers who are on the front lines during this COVID-19 pandemic. There has been so much uncertainty in our lives. One thing that remains certain is how grateful we are for the opportunity to serve your families and businesses. Our sincere appreciation to all of those who are working to serve us during this time. From all of us at Bureau Septic and Drain Cleaning.
Listen, I don't want to be a burden in your life. Do you want to look for one now? Dun, 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 dun. I forgot what the question is.
Check out Wham Wednesdays on Newswatch 16 at 7.
I don't mean to sound like a weirdo. That sure brings out your blue eyes. Oh, thanks. Oh, wow! Does she always make things more difficult than they have to be?
Wham Wednesdays on Newswatch 16 at 7.
Why do you know so much?
I went to school.
It's supposed to be a trick question.
You didn't get me.
Mr. Curiosity is back. Joe chats with Newswatch 16's Chelsea Stroop. Entertainer Chris Barnes.
Will it rain or will it snow?
And KRZ's Rocky and Lissa.
Do you think it's interesting enough for people to watch? Oh, hot legs.
Just go to WNAP.com or watch at WNAP's YouTube channel. New episodes of Mr. Curiosity podcast and podcast available now.
Welcome back to our live primary night election coverage here on Newswatch 16 and WNEP2. Scott Schaffer along with former County Commissioner Corey O'Brien. We're talking about all the races that are important, and there are a few, especially in a number of local communities. Right now our focus is on the state Senate race. One quick bit of housekeeping here. We're told that whatever event is happening in downtown Scranton with Mayor Cognetti is not happening yet, so we're not missing anything. Didn't want to leave that hanging out there. We have a crew at the scene, and we'll let you know when something does transpire. This race for state senate is a special election, so there was no primary election. The parties chose their two nominees. As far as the Greens and the Libertarians, it was probably a relatively easy choice, but interesting choices here. Chermak, strongest Republican candidate you think they could find? Flynn, strongest Democrat you think they could find?
Boy, that's a second hard question, Scott,
yeah.
and it is a loaded question. I would say to you that from a Chris Chermak standpoint, the answer is yes. Marty Flynn is a known entity, right? Who has worked hard in his seat and has some of that seniority, which oftentimes people like to see when they're out there kind of choosing candidates. So he is a fighter, and it's not necessarily just from a boxing standpoint. So I think that he was a natural choice with respect to the Democratic Party. And Chris Chermak, I think, was the choice. I think he was the only, quite frankly, choice for the Republicans to make in this seat and would put them in the best position due to name recognition and just being a county commissioner and what that gives you. I disagree with him that he can't get things done as a minority county commissioner. We always, when I was with Mike Washoe and when I was with Jim Wansack, we always worked very closely with the minority commissioner to ensure that they were on board with what we did. This isn't a county where you just go out there and it's like a 2-1 vote all the time. I mean, we always, probably 95% of our votes were 100%. They were unanimous votes. No matter who who the minority commissioner is. So I think the minority commissioner has a role and can play a strong role with the Democratic majority commissioners. So I think that they're two good candidates. I really think that both parties put out two good candidates. Chris Schermack probably has the best chance of any of the Republicans. I just don't like that campaign seems to have been run out of Harrisburg and just missed the mark. You really have to go after Democratic voters. Should have looked at, from a polling standpoint, it's easy to get the information out of Harrisburg. What do people in the 22nd district care most about? And hit those issues. I just think that it was a lost opportunity, just really attacking Marty Flynn, who people by and large are going to say they like Marty. Marty is a very likable person. People like Marty Flynn. I don't know people who dislike Marty Flynn. So I really don't. And I've known him since I was a kid and since he was a kid. And people like Marty. He's genuinely a kind person. So, going after that in a Democratic, district isn't a good move.
2% of the vote in that race with Flynn with the early lead. Our John Myers in our digital studio with a little more information about where that 2% came from. John.
Yeah, I heard you guys talking earlier about how the numbers were in much earlier than what you're used to, and that is because of mail-in votes, this whole new world that we live in with mail-in votes. Luzern County was canvassing those all day. Shortly after 8 o'clock, they uploaded the mail-in results. Now, we don't know if it's all the mail-in results, but they uploaded thousands of them, giving us a little perspective of the mail-in situation in Luzern County. So you were talking about the race for the 22nd district between Flynn and Schermack. Well, Luzern County has just a little sliver of that district. And this is Luzern County's webpage for tracking elections, and they actually do break it down really nicely for us to see what's going on in the county. There's about only 1,000 or so votes in that race that's in, with Marty Flynn ahead and Chris Schermack trailing there 75% to 17%. Again, that's just a small part of the district, and this is only mail-in. I want to scroll down to another big race of interest in Luzern County, and that is the judge of the Court of Common Pleas. Of course, we have races in both the Republican and Democratic side, but all the candidates are cross-filed on both. This gives us a look that we are seeing in Luzern County what happened last year with the presidential race happen again, that the Democrats, it seemed, tended to vote much more in mail-in votes than Republicans. There's 21,000 mail-in votes that have been reported on the Democratic side in the judges' race. Only about 7,000 reported on the Republican side. So 3 times as many votes have been reported on the Democratic side. Of course, Dems have an edge in Luzern County, not that big of an edge. So as of right now on the Democratic side, Stephanie Salavantis has the lead with 29%. Jim Bobeck in second, Kakura Kravitz in third, with Laura Dennis and Tara Toohill trailing on the Dems. But when we look at the Republican side, Stephanie Salavantis with the lead with around 37% of the vote in. Tara Toohill is in second in that race, followed by Jim Bobeck, Kakura Kravitz, and then Laura Dennis. So we're getting a little glimpse into how the mail-in voters are having their say in Luzern County. What we don't know is how many voters in person voted today and what the ratio will be to mail-in to in person. But these numbers are obviously going to change as we see those in-person voters come in. Interesting when you look at the Court of Common Pleas, Tara Toohill, a Republican representative in Harrisburg, not getting much from the Democratic side, but in second place from the Republican side. So just a little breakdown of what's going on here in Luzern County, and we'll see what else breaks down. But it is interesting, guys, because normally we do have to wait for all those results get taken to the courthouse. Here we were, 15, 20 minutes after 8. And we have results, and we're getting a little insight into what's going on. So we'll keep tracking things in here. If we see anything else interesting on the digital side, we'll bring it to you.
You're the man, John. Thanks. And it's a great springboard to get into that judicial race in Luzern County. 2 open seats. Judge Thomas Burke is hitting the mandatory retirement age. Judge William Amesbury has decided to retire and become a senior judge. So we have 2 open seats. We have 5 candidates. There's 2 nominations on each side. Stephanie Salavantis seems to be a shoo-in for one of these nominations, at least, if not one on each ticket. She's had been, up until the point where she left the office to run for judge, she had been the DA for the past number of years. Tara Toohill would seem to be a strong candidate on the Republican side as well. A veteran state representative from the Hazleton area, certainly a well-known Republican and very popular in lower Luzern County. Democratic side, Salavantis again, but it'll be interesting if there is a second nomination to be had. It'll probably be on the Democratic side. Agree, disagree?
I agree with that. I think it would be appropriate for us to also just indicate that Judge Burke and Judge Amesbury, these are monumental shoes to fill. Especially Judge Burke. He has been a jurist for many years and is considered to be as good as any in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So just to give you a sense, and Judge Amesbury's an excellent jurist as well. So whoever wins the election is going to have really huge shoes to fill and will play a large role on this court and an important court in northeastern Pennsylvania. So, this is a very important election. And it's great to see a little bit of turnout here. It's great to see mail-in ballots coming in this race because of the importance of it. I think, like you said, I think the two Democrats are probably going to be in the best position here. The question is, what two?
Mm-hmm. It would seem like Salavantis is one of them. Now, two things to keep in mind here. Amesbury, when he first ran for judge, I believe he won the nominations on both tickets in the primary night, so pretty much sealed his win in the spring primary, which is where we stand tonight. And when keeping in mind that I'm making these predictions about who will win nominations, I'm the guy who said that Jim Haggerty, the former Kingston mayor, would definitely win a Republican judicial nomination that year. He did not. Take it with a grain of salt. Newswatch 16's Chelsea Strube is live for us at Penn Place in Wilkes-Barre. That is where the County Elections Bureau is housed. And good evening, Chelsea.
Good evening, Scott and Corey. That's right. Now, just before we get into that judicial race, I think it's important to address the issue Republican voters were faced with this morning and throughout the day here in Luzern County. Now, when registered Republican voters went to the ballot to vote today, a welcome screen said official Democratic ballot. Now, Director of Elections here in Luzern County, Bob Morgan, says this was a coding error on the machine's end, and this was only an issue on the welcome screen. It did not have any effect on the ballot here. Still, it was cause for concern today for many voters who already have reservations about election integrity. But party and county leaders agreed that voters could vote today by paper if they didn't want to use the machines, either by emergency or provisional ballots. Now, all 5 judicial candidates running today in Luzern County cross-filed as both Republican and Democrats. And as you guys said, that includes Stephanie Salavantis, arguably the most well-known name on the ballot for judge. Salavantis is a Republican, was district attorney here in Luzern County since 2012. She did announce, until she announced her candidacy for judge late last year. She won re-election in 2015 and then ran unopposed in 2019. Now, like I said, she was forced to resign after announcing her candidacy for judge. And so far tonight, that looks like it was a good decision. Right now, she's leading in both the Democrat and Republican numbers, but we're still waiting for many more numbers to come in. Here in Luzern County, all of the mail-in ballots have been counted. We just heard from Luzern County Manager David Pedri, so we should be seeing those numbers soon. But many of those provisional ballots that people voted with today on the Republican side in Luzern County probably won't be counted until tomorrow or Thursday, I'm told by the Director of Elections, Bob Morgan. But we should have most of the results in tonight. So we'll check in with you guys later. Until then, I'm Chelsea Strube, Newswatch 16, reporting live in Luzern County.
Well, I hope we have them in tonight, Chelsea, because we're only allowed to be on the air here till about 10:30. So fingers crossed. Thanks. We'll be checking in with you throughout the evening as well. We're going to take a quick break here at a little before 9:15 on WNEP2. Primary election night just getting warmed up. Don't go away. We'll be right back here on The Deuce.
Villains, robbers, bandits, crooks, they're all over your TV screen. But the biggest thieves are behind your screen. I'm talking about the cable companies. Well, it's time to say goodbye to the cable guy, because now you can watch 4K Ultra HD broadcast TV for free. Introducing Clear TV's new 4K Ultra HD design, the Premium HD. Just plug it into your TV and start watching for free. You will instantly receive top-rated network shows, local news and weather, sporting events, and even Ultra HD 4K broadcast shows, all for free. Basic cable and satellite services can cost you up to $80 a month. Stop spending money you don't have to spend. Call or go online now and get your premium Clear TV 4K Ultra HD antenna for only $19.95. It's backed by our 60-day money-back guarantee. Order now and you can add a second Clear TV free. Just pay separate processing and handle. That's a $40 value for only $19.95. Order now.
The thing that drives me every day as a dad is him. His real name is Darion, and we call him Day Day for short. Every day he's hungry for something, whether it's affection, attention, knowledge. And there's this huge responsibility in making sure that when he's no longer under my wing, that he's a good person. I think the advice I would give is you don't need to know all the answers. The craziest thing was believing that your dad knew everything. So as a dad, you felt like you had to know everything. You had to get everything right. It's okay to make mistakes. Just do it from the right place. As long as it's coming from love, then, it kind of starts to work itself out. I want him to be able to sit back one day and go, we worked together, we did a good job. I'll say my kid's pretty dope.
Polls have been closed in Pennsylvania for about 45 minutes. We are live on WNEP2 with the numbers and the analysis and all the winners and losers. Before we go off the air here in an hour and 15 minutes, we are going to know a lot about what transpired on primary election night 2021. One more stop on our chat about the race for Luzern County judge and the 2 open seats in Luzern County. Newswatch 16's Peggy Lee is with the 2 Hill campaign in Hazleton. Good evening, Peggy.
Good evening, Scott and Corey. I am here on North Cedar Street in Hazleton, where Luzern County Judge candidate and State Representative Tara Tuhill will be watching the results as they come in. She arrived here around 8 o'clock, just as the polls closed. As you can see behind me, there are some campaign workers and supporters also here. Now, Tuhill's among the 5 people running for the 2 open seats in the Luzern County Judge's race in this primary election. Tuhill says the 2 positions will be family court judges, and her past experience working with children and youth makes her fit for the job.
Everything that I've done, my passion has been a focus on children and youth and foster care. So family court judge, it's going to be family court and PFAs. Both of the judges that get elected, they're going to move them to family court.
And as you both mentioned, Tuhill is up against the former Luzern County District Attorney, Stephanie Saladvantis. Of course, we'll bring you more from her campaign party as it unfolds this evening. Peggy Lee, Newswatch 16, reporting live here in Hazleton.
Thank you, Peggy. 5 candidates on both tickets in Luzern County. One thing I want to mention, Jim Bobek. It seems like the other 3 candidates ran the more aggressive TV campaigns, maybe because they're lesser known. Bobek, Kokura Kravitz, and Laura Dennis. They ran the very aggressive TV campaigns. Bobek's, especially where he says, I'm more than just an attorney. I'm also your kid's coach. And he actually was my kid's coach a couple years ago, which with a little aside that means nothing as to what we're talking about. But they were aggressive on the air, the 3 of them.
Well, and I went to law school with Laura Dennis.
How about
that? So
there
you have it. We have these connections.
All
right?
the connections are
all
out
these
there.
Connections.
All right.
Yeah, here's what I would say about this. It's a tough messaging race, right? You saw Tara Tuhill right there struggle with a message. Mm-hmm. And the message is, well, they're going to put these 2 judges in the family court, and I like kids. That's just, it's tough to find that message in a judicial race. It's hard to do that. You see, I think Tara, even here on Election Day, trying to figure that out. Mm-hmm. So it's hard in that way. It's hard to really get people excited outside of your core supporters to really go out there and work hard for you in a judicial race. It's a challenge for all the candidates.
You're handcuffed in a judicial race because you can't you can't campaign other than to say your qualifications for the job. You can't say anything about your opponents that they may not be qualified for the job. That's kind of verboten.
You can't do it from a legal ethics standpoint, so you have to stay away from that. And you have to really find this resonating message of fairness, impartial, hardworking, experienced. You have to kind of cobble something together with respect to that, and it's often difficult for individuals running for those seats to really get that message that's going to resonate and put them over the top. I think Jim Bobek attempted that, right, with a little bit of humor there on, and I've been your coach, and that matters. That matters.
Sure. Yes, that's that's how I know him. So. Luzern is not the only county where we have a judicial race. Let's talk about Lackawanna. 1 open seat. Judge Tom Munley is reaching the retirement age. 3 candidates. The potential that 2 of them will still be alive at the end of this night if we get 1 nominee on each ticket. Paul Ware is the district magistrate from the Dunmore area and Green Ridge section of Scranton, Mary Walsh Dempsey, former Scranton City Council member and a well-known attorney in Lackawanna County. Nisha Aurora, a bit of a newcomer in terms of politics and name recognition, seems to be hanging her hat on the fact that she's the only Republican in the race and would certainly like to secure the GOP nomination at the very least. Thoughts?
This is a tough one. I'll tell you right now that Paul Ware, Mary Walsh Dempsey would be, I don't know Nisha, but I do know the other two, and either or both would be fabulous judges. It's going to be very difficult. Paul Ware has experience, and he has experience in the largest voting area in Lackawanna County, which is Dunmore and Green Ridge combined. So I think that gives him a little bit of an edge, quite frankly. The Dempsey name is very well known. My sister is married to a Dempsey, so just for full and fair disclosure. But I would say that Dempsey name, and from a legal standpoint, brings a lot of weight throughout Lackawanna County. But don't underestimate Paul Ware. Paul Ware is a seasoned magistrate, compassionate, caring individual who just people like him, and sometimes, just having that piece is just so important.
Do you think that Aurora's strategy of essentially just going after the Republican nomination in this case is a sound strategy?
It is. It's the strategy for her. It's really the only strategy where she could potentially eke something out. I don't see it happening for Nisha, but if she wants to be in politics, this is a heck of a good start for her, and hopefully she'll continue. It's hard today to find candidates who are quality candidates for positions. So it's great to see 3 quality candidates. I think she'd be a great candidate moving forward in some other position. I think she'll have a very difficult night tonight with a Paul Ware and a Mary Walsh Dempsey, too. Just extraordinary candidates with a lot of support throughout Lackawanna County.
Could either of them win the Republican nomination over Aurora?
I think so. I think they both could win the Republican nomination. They're that well liked throughout the county. Name recognition is high. Again, I think it's a toss up with respect to the seat and those two candidates.
I want to turn now to another race with 2 open seats on the county bench. That's Schuylkill County. A very interesting race going on in Schuylkill County. My friend at the polls is telling low turnout in Schuylkill County today, so we'll see how that works for the candidates. But there's 2 open seats. Judge Damalakis. My apologies, Your Honor. He retired last year, and the seat then was filled by Christina Hale, who was the district magistrate from Frackville. She was appointed to fill the seat. Now she's running for the full term. The other vacancy in Schuylkill County, Judge Cyrus Palmer Dolben. This is fascinating. Judge Dolben, years ago, was the first, and I believe still the only judge candidate to directly succeed his father on the county bench. So there's been a Judge Dolben in Schuylkill County for more than a half century at this point. And that ends at the end of this year as Judge Dolben is stepping down. So we have 2 openings in Schuylkill County. And the interesting thing about this is the 2 Republicans, which is Judge Hale, the appointed judge, who's essentially an incumbent, and the attorney Chris Hobbs from Pottsville, are running as a team for the most part for these 2 seats. I've never seen that happen in a county judge race.
I want to just make a comment here because we're on here. Nobody works harder at preparation for this show than Scott Schaffer. Scott, can you please show everybody the paper that everybody doesn't like, but it is a hallmark.
Well, yeah, Natasha, our floor manager, hates my cheat sheet, but it's on the back of an old ABC poster, and it is everything I need to know right here.
And it's remarkable, but that insight that you just provided is just great. I just had to say it out loud. I apologize.
That's okay. Thank you.
But let me talk about, just for a second, people teaming up. I come from a team, right? When I ran for county commissioner, I ran with Mike Wash, I ran with Jim Wansack. What a team does for you is it brings in voters who would not necessarily vote for you, right? Some who just plain out don't like you. And your teammate ends up bringing a lot of them along. I mean, Mike Wash in my election was very, very close. Mike beat me in total votes, but not by a whole whole host of, a large margin, which just really proved the point that he really brought in votes to me that I didn't otherwise have. And I have a feeling that that is going to be a significant advantage in the race. I don't know how it'll turn out. Don't know the candidates, but the team concept works in politics. It works in politics. We'll see if it works tonight.
And on a judge race, the Democrats in the race, and of course they're all cross-file, they're Democrats and Republicans. Julie Wirt, an attorney from Orwigsburg and an assistant district attorney, and James Conville is a very well-known attorney from Port Carbon in Schuylkill County, ran for judge once before 10 years ago, did not win the nomination 10 years ago, and is at another bite at the apple this time around. Attorney Hobbs, we should mention, has political background here. His father-in-law was the longtime state senator James Rhodes from Mahanoy City, who was killed in a crash tragically a few years back. But certainly that's a heck of a name and a mantle to have in your corner in Schuylkill County.
It matters. Infrastructure matters, and if you come to the table with some, that's going to have an impact.
In out west, really not much going on in central Pennsylvania. Quiet night. I mean, this is mayor of Montoursville, and there's a Republican race for county sheriff in Lycoming County, which will probably be indicative of who will win the race in the fall. But in Union and Snyder County, which are combined in terms of their county judicial candidates, there is one open seat. President Judge Michael Hudak Jr. is retiring after just one term. Lori Hackenberg is the magistrate from Middleburg. Brian Kerstetter is an ADA from Snyder County. He's an attorney in Lewisburg. Quite possible that both could still be alive at the end of tonight.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. We've seen a lot of retirements, a lot of fresh faces coming in with respect to it right now. And I think that that's good for politics. It's good for local politics. And I really hope that irrespective of who wins tonight, that individuals who are not successful tonight continue on and run for other offices where they feel compelled to and passionate about. It's important for our democracy. It's important for local government where this matters. Right? The local government is where politics really matters. We can debate, we could talk about national politics all night. We love doing that. But every once in a while, getting back to the roots, getting back to picking up the garbage, getting back to the parks, getting back to local school districts, getting back to really the fundamentals and the grassroots of politics, it's where it matters most. It's where you see the impact most. So I just really hope that candidates tonight can find those positions that they really have a passion for and run again for office. It's a good thing. It's good for our politics. It's good for our government. It's good for our people.
And before we take a quick break, I want to say in terms of the homework for this show, a lot of credit goes to Brian Holmes, our election coordinator, Emily Gerchman, married name, our voice in our ear, and they're fabulous. We're going to take a quick break. Got to squeeze one in before 9 o'clock. We have another hour to go here before we get to Newswatch 16 at 10, and we have more numbers. We're going to start running down some of these results that we have that are already coming in as soon as we get back here on WNEP2.
Do you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Maxed out on your credit cards? Constantly worried about how you're going to make your monthly payments? If so, we have an urgent message for you. Freedom Debt Relief can help you lower your monthly payments, reduce how much you owe, and help you get out of debt in as little as 24 to 48 months. Do not spend another minute stressing over how to pay your credit card bills. To find out how much you could save, go to freedomdebtrelief.com or call the number on your screen. Our team of experts are standing by to take your call. Freedom Debt Relief has helped over 500,000 customers just like you to take back control of their life.
After a year, my first credit card was paid off, then the second, then the third. And I thought, oh my God, this is gonna work.
The bigger your debt, the more money you could save.
For free information, call now, 1-800-834-7203. That's 1-800-834-7203, or go to freedomdebtrelief.com.
I want a lean, hard, sexy body. Where do I start?
The fitness headquarters.
I want muscular arms and jacked abs.
Go to the fitness headquarters.
I just want to lose some weight.
Ask the fitness gurus at the fitness headquarters. Plus, build your home gym and get huge savings like these. Buy where the gyms buy. From the experts at the fitness headquarters. Come and ask the fitness headquarters how to reach your goals. Weight loss, muscle building, recovery. Now is the time to work out at home. Visit the fitness headquarters.
Bureau Septic and Drain Cleaning salutes our healthcare professionals, first responders, and all essential workers who are on the front lines during this COVID-19 pandemic. There has been so much uncertainty in our lives. One thing that remains certain is how grateful we are for the opportunity to serve your families and businesses. Our sincere appreciation to all of those who are working to serve us during this time. From all of us at Bureau Septic and Drain Cleaning.
Are you ready for some numbers here on WNEP2? Primary election night 2021, Scott Schaffer, former Lackawanna County Democratic Commissioner Corey O'Brien. We have been with you for 1 hour, and we have another hour to go before Newswatch 16 at 10. This is the hour when we think we're going to have some really good ideas about how this night is going to turn out. Let's start with the 4 constitutional questions that were on the ballot this time around, statewide, that allowed independents to be able to come to the polls, as well as the special election. But if you didn't have the senatorial race, you had the 4 ballot questions you could bring you in. The first is ending disaster emergencies, and we're going to talk a little bit more about what these all mean in just a moment. But it was 7% in, the early lead goes to the no votes, which was the position supported by Governor Wolf and the Democrats. The next constitutional question is related to that, which would limit the length of an emergency declaration to a period of time. 21 days. Thank you very much, Emily. 21 days. That too is the no votes are winning that pretty easily early on. The constitutional amendment on the equality of rights would prohibit the denial or abridgment of a person's rights based on race or ethnicity. And that seems to be, early on, at least with 7% in, that seems to be pretty popular with the voters of Pennsylvania to add that constitutional amendment. We will see. Constitutional amendments are not easy things to do in Pennsylvania. You have to win an election and then has to pass two sessions of the legislature and then be signed by the governor. It's a big deal, but this is a step, and so far you've seen the results. There's a 4th question, not a proposed amendment. It's about municipal fire companies and EMS services. Would they be allowed to get loans through a program that's meant specifically to help volunteer fire companies? And so far, the yes votes, the supporters seem to think that yes, the municipal fire companies should be able to access that same pool of loans that the volunteers do have a chance to get into right now. Our John Meyer is in the digital studio to break these numbers down a little bit more for us. John.
Yeah, guys, this is another case of what we're seeing across the state is those mail-in votes that are the early reported numbers. And we are seeing what we saw in the race last year, the presidential election year, is that you can tell that a large majority, it looks like 2/3 at least, maybe 3/4 of the mail-in votes that have been reported so far have come from Democrats. So when we look at the breakdown on those ballot questions, you can see that the red is the no on those first 2 that would limit the governor. This is looking at the Pennsylvania website. We're tracking it through there. And you can see overwhelmingly it's voting no. Now, this is something Governor Wolf pushed for hard for people to vote no on this because it would limit the governor's powers. We are seeing what is a mostly Democrat mail-in vote result right now. So this is kind of the reverse of what we saw in November, where we saw the mail-ins coming in later a lot statewide. We're seeing the mail-ins first, and we'll see what happens once the day of, because you can see the difference between the last 2 constitutional amendments and the first 2, quite the flip-flop here. And the way we're able to figure this is we can go into each county and look. This is the ballot question according to Luzern County voters right now with the mail-in numbers, and it's showing whether it's mail-in yes or no. Luzern County, it's like 70 to 30, 71 to, yeah, around 70 to 30. No, or that the no is winning for those 2 constitutional amendments that Governor Wolf pushed for. And you can see it says they're the mail-in votes that are in right there. So we're kind of tracking it that way. So far, most of what we're seeing reported is mail-in votes. So a lot to learn as we see the in-person votes come in. This is our new way, of course, guys, of thinking of these elections, is you have the mail-in votes, you have the day of votes, and then they have to balance out as we go through the evening. So we'll see what plays out in the next hour or so. I'm sure we'll see a lot more of those day of votes start coming in.
That's a great observation, John, because usually we say, oh, the early votes, they always come in from Philadelphia, and they're Democratic as well. This time, the early votes are the mail-in ballots, which are Democrat-leaning as well.
I think John is on to something much greater than this election. I think he's on to a change in how we vote in America, how we vote certainly in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. When we look at the day of votes and the turnouts being very low, they're offset by what? The mail-in. I think that folks throughout Pennsylvania, throughout our viewing area, are a little tired of going to the polls and being, harassed by all these folks, giving them leaflets and all this other kind of stuff. And it's almost like an awkward feeling that people have. You end up walking in there, the people on both sides. It's like, so who am I going to vote for? So folks who aren't in politics, who just have to go through that, don't typically like it. And when they have the opportunity to then do a mail-in ballot, they're just more comfortable doing it and voting for who they really want to vote for and then mailing it in. Now, there's always conspiracy theorists out there who don't think that ballot's going to be counted and all that kind of stuff. But I think generally speaking, John has hit the nail on the head with respect to what I believe to be a lasting trend in voting in Pennsylvania for sure, which is really more of this mail-in versus personal day of voting. It'll be interesting to see if it holds, but I have a feeling this could start something big.
Well, great to see those votes coming in early instead of 3 days late.
For sure.
Let's talk about the constitutional questions. Ending the disaster emergency and limiting the length of a disaster emergency. Those are Republican efforts to curb the power of the governor in declaring an emergency.
Remember that the vote totals Pennsylvania-wide, 46% are Dems, 39% are Republicans. So there isn't that large margin. John pointed out another very important point. What is it? The point of, the mail-in ballots are largely, by and large, Democratic votes. So it's not surprising that there be that margin. But I think you're seeing party line voting. And I think it'll tighten as the night goes on. But it's party line voting, where the Democrats are, for not curbing the governor's authority, and the Republicans are. In the equality question, I think you're seeing something similar to that going on. And then when it comes to fire companies, you're seeing a little bit of a change. Why? Rural voters are typically more Republican. Who are they relying on? Fire departments. So it's even harder to be against something for fire departments because Republicans kind of are supportive of that as well. Not all of them, but some more than on the other questions. But I think you're going to see party line voting, and turnout will matter there just like it does in the 22nd, just like it does in some of these other races.
The Republicans are all about trying to limit the governor's powers. There is a school of thought that they're being a bit short-sighted because at some point they are going to be the governor.
Well, here's the issue with that. They're looking at historically, the legislature is just so Republican, and it doesn't appear to be ending anytime soon. So they're willing to kind of roll the dice on that they have such a lock on the General Assembly that it won't matter for them. I think that's the calculus. Mm-hmm. I think that's always a difficult calculus to live by. Yes. It's a dangerous kind of move to play because, like you said, the shoe is always on the other foot at some point.
You know who else thought they were unbeatable? The Democrats in Pennsylvania 25 years ago when they controlled both chambers of the legislature.
You got it.
They were wrong. As you said, the fire company is an interesting situation. The volunteer fire companies need the loans. And oftentimes they're struggling mightily these days, volunteers, in terms of manpower and funding. Now the same pool of loans, the pool of loans isn't getting any bigger, but now the municipal fire companies be allowed to access those loans as well. Is this another nail in the coffin for volunteers?
Well, volunteers and volunteer fire companies, not only in the borough of Moosic, which is where we sit, but throughout northeastern Pennsylvania are a hallmark of the fire system in our state. Mm-hmm. So I think it is a tough situation for the volunteer fire departments. Who's got the political clout in the state? The governments do. Mm-hmm. Who has the political clout? The politicians. What are they running? Municipal fire departments.
Okay, we have a lot of numbers coming in from the state Supreme Court. We will update the numbers that we have from the local races, and we're going to do all that when we come back here on WNEP2. Just about 10 minutes after 9. Thanks for being with us. A lot more to talk about, and we'll update what's going on down there in Scranton when we return here on The Deuce.
Introducing Stardust Casino. One of Las Vegas's most iconic and trusted casinos is now online with more games, more bonuses, and more fun. Play your favorite slots and table games for real money right on your phone. Get the classic Vegas experience online. Sign up today. Stardust Casino. Tap into the golden age of gaming. Play your first 24 hours risk-free up to $200.
Yeah, dude, that doesn't look good.
I know what to do. I'm going to cashnetusa.com. I can apply in minutes, and if approved, I can have the money as soon as the same business day.
Go to cashnetusa.com to apply for the money you need.
Tucked away where the three counties of Lackawanna, Wayne, and Susquehanna meet, you'll find Forest City. Originally known as Forest Mills, the name changed in 1886, the borough officially forming 20 years later. Spring has sprung. Biking, hiking, and river fun, well, it's all over Forest City. With the younger population moving in, this mile of hospitality could soon be given a new life. Newswatch 16 is proud to serve Forest City and all of northeastern and central Pennsylvania.
In the Army National Guard, family means everything.
Our parents, they were really supportive that all 5 of us would join. I got my education because of the Guard. I got to travel a little bit and experience a whole different culture. It helped me get my job, helped me pay for my house. Being part-time really helped because I could have some opportunities that were still in education.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard instills pride that you and your family will share. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more about part-time service.
Meet a woman in assisted living who loved playing piano so much, they let her bring it with her. Barbara survived COVID, and her playing cheers up the place every morning. 16 Salutes, Thursday on Newswatch 6.
Welcome back to live primary election night coverage here on WNEP2. Scott Schaffer and Corey O'Brien. When we came on the air a little more than an hour ago, we were all agog about this idea that the mayor of Scranton was going to come out and make a statement at 8:15. We're speculating what she's going to say. She's going to declare victory at some unearthly early hour. Well, it's now almost 9:15 and nothing has happened in downtown Scranton. However, Newswatch 16 Stacey Lang is there. She let us set the scene for us. Stacey.
Yeah, good evening, Scott and Court. You're right. This is not the typical election night scene for me, especially for an election night for an incumbent mayor in the city of Scranton. I'm here on Lackawanna Avenue virtually by myself. There's a few campaign volunteers inside the campaign headquarters and a few other members of the media here. And we're just waiting for any information from the Cognetti camp. They decided not to have a party this evening because of the pandemic. But the campaign officials who are here tell us that there are volunteers at every polling place in the city of Scranton gathering numbers. They're also waiting on the mail-in voting tally that's coming from the Lackawanna County Government Center that's just down the street from here. And hopefully sometime soon we'll get some kind of update on those numbers for you, and we'll have more information about when we can expect Mayor Paige Cognetti here. Cognetti is running for her first full term as the mayor of Scranton, and she's not skating into that second term. You'll remember in 2019, she won a special election after former Mayor Bill Courtwright resigned amid a public corruption scandal. She is being challenged in this primary by John Murray, who is the current city controller in Scranton. Murray campaigned on the two things he is that Paige Cognetti is not: a Scranton native and a lifelong Democrat. He won the city's police union support during this campaign. Now Cognetti is running on the experience that she has in the past 2 years in City Hall, and she's hoping that has resonated with voters. We expect to hear from her again and her campaign later on tonight. We'll have updates for you coming up a little later. For now, Stacey Lang, Newswatch 16, reporting live in Lackawanna Avenue in Scranton.
Stacey, before we lose you, were we incorrect in assuming that there was supposed to be an 8:15 announcement tonight? Were we led down the wrong path?
I think you may have been. I wasn't aware of that. We are being told that the only comments that we'll be getting from Mayor Cognetti are later when there are results to talk about. And again, it'll just be her, a couple members of her campaign, and us from the media. We're just waiting on that now and waiting for any information from her camp.
All right, Stacey Lang, do appreciate the update. I'm looking at my numbers now. I don't know that we have anything from Mayor of Scranton yet. Nothing there, 0%. Mayor of Swoyersville, though, there you go. Oh, pardon me. You guys are way ahead of my computer, and I apologize. We have 52% of the votes in. Does that surprise you at all, that margin, Corey?
No, it doesn't. Not right now. It's early. We'll see how this night plays out, but I have a feeling Paige Cognetti is gonna roll with respect to this election. I mean, John Murray's message, we heard it from Stacey. She articulated it very well. I'm a Scranton native, lifelong Democrat. And that just doesn't resonate. It's not a winning formula. You need to be talking about the issues that voters care about most, and they just don't care. They elected Paige Cognetti knowing she's not from here. So that's a losing argument. That's just not something that's going to resonate. And I think we're going to find a night that it didn't.
It doesn't resonate anymore.
You know, that's a great point. That's a great point, because if we were here 20 years ago, if we were here at the heyday of James McNulty, as an example, others, within the city of Scranton and beyond, that would be a message that would resonate very strongly, but it just doesn't anymore.
Marty.
And I think Paige Cognetti is demonstrating some of that.
All right, man. Throwing up Shermack commercial there real quick. As far as the mayor of Scranton race, we should note that the Democratic nominee is not clear sailing. There is a Republican on the ballot, will be in the fall, Darwin Lee Shaw. I'm unfamiliar with the gentleman, but he will be the Republican nominee in all likelihood against the winner of the Cognetti-Murray race as we speak. There is races going on too statewide as far as Pennsylvania Supreme Court. There is one open seat there, and there is a spirited primary on the Republican side. The Democrats have one nominee, and that is Maria McLaughlin. She's a Pennsylvania Superior Court judge, but the Republicans have 3 candidates looking for this one nomination. Brobson's the local guy. He's the president judge of the Commonwealth Court. He's from Montoursville, graduated from Lycoming College and Widener Law School, and has made his way to the Commonwealth Court. So he's certainly a formidable candidate here. Patricia McCullough is also on the Commonwealth Court, elected the same year as Brobson. She's from Western Pennsylvania. Paula Patrick is a judge in the Philadelphia Court of Common Pleas, and she's looking to make the big step up to the state Supreme Court. And we have some numbers so far in this race, and it's Brobson with the lead at this point. McCullough would be representing Western Pennsylvania. Paula Patrick would certainly be representing the Philadelphia area. Brobson, I guess, everywhere else, the middle of the state. But as the president judge of the Superior Court, he certainly has an advantage and, as you said, an infrastructure in order to run a statewide campaign.
He will, more so than some of the other candidates. Remember, the Republicans want to put up the strongest possible candidates here. This seat in this race is the most important of all. There's no doubt about that. A Supreme Court nominee is a very important selection for the party. You need to really have out there the strongest possible candidate to do well in November. Democrats have done really, really well in statewide politics as of late. So the Republicans will be behind the 8 ball here a little bit with respect to that race already. So someone who brings a little bit of infrastructure to the table, good thing.
Yeah, and it's great to see the Republicans having what would appear on the surface to be some strong candidates, because I had been critical of them in these judicial races that they had not been fielding strong candidates. It looks like that has been remedied tonight. There is one open seat on the state Superior Court, and there is a primary in that in terms of, pardon me here, the Superior Court is on the Democratic side. And it's Joe Beck with an early lead there for one nomination. And then there's 2 seats in the Commonwealth Court. We're getting into the high weeds with the courts. We should probably take a break now at 18 minutes past 9 o'clock. Much more to come. Waiting for some of these numbers to get updated. We actually have some winners have been announced in some of these races. Oh, numbers coming in the race for Mayor of Dunmore. I know that's close to your heart. We will be right back here on WNEP2.
If your vehicle's manufacturer warranty is expired or is about to run out, you'll be on the hook for unexpected repairs. Breakdowns used to mean paying thousands out of pocket. Until now. Introducing Endurance Advantage, a vehicle protection plan with extensive breakdown coverage plus routine maintenance.
As a mechanic, I see it all the time. A customer doesn't keep up with their regular maintenance and it leads to a breakdown or worse, disqualifies their warranty.
No matter how many miles your car has, if it's under 20 years old, Endurance has you covered. That means insurance plus Endurance equals total protection. From oil and filter changes to brake pad and wiper blade replacements, Advantage provides maintenance coverage up to $3,500 per year.
With Endurance Advantage, you'll never worry about paying for covered auto repairs or regular maintenance again.
Call 800-303-6231 for a free quote. That's 800-303-6231.
I want a lean, hard, sexy body. Where do I start?
The fitness headquarters.
I want muscular arms and jacked abs.
Go to the fitness headquarters.
I just want to lose some weight.
Ask the fitness gurus at the fitness headquarters. Plus, build your home gym and get huge savings like these. Buy where the gyms buy. From the experts at the fitness headquarters. Come and ask the fitness headquarters how to reach your goals. Weight loss, muscle building, recovery. Now's the time to work out at home. Visit the fitness headquarters.
Museum Adventure Weeks will be back this summer at the Everhart. These one-week camps are geared for students kindergarten through 6th grade. Topics include nature, art, and a week of mystery. Explorers can choose one of 2 options. Adventures at home. Campers will receive a toolkit and can participate in live virtual classes, tours, and activities. Adventures in the museum. Campers will explore Neog Park and participate in socially distanced activities within the museum. For more information, visit everhart-museum.
Welcome back to our primary election night coverage here on WNEP2. Scott Schaffer and Corey O'Brien. Numbers are starting to roll in. We have a host of mayoral elections in smaller communities. We talked a lot about Scranton tonight, as is fitting, as it the largest city in our viewing area. But my oh my, certainly some interesting races. Let's start with your hometown of Dunmore. And this race is based on oh my goodness, this race is based on, there's basically a one-issue race, just as it was 4 years ago. You're qualified to explain this better than I am, so please do.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about this. Max Conaway's strength is going to be out of the 6th Ward in Dunmore, which is basically below Blakely Street, and that's home of the Dunmore Community Center. The Dunmore Community Center houses the largest voting precinct in all of northeastern Pennsylvania. So it is a very large voting precinct with respect to the entire region. The 6th Ward comprises the most votes there. Now, there's only about 300 votes cast, so these numbers don't have a lot of meaning quite yet. If they're 6th Ward numbers, that would be expected. 2nd Ward and 3rd Ward, I think one precinct in the 3rd Ward also votes in the Dunmore Community Center. So once you get to the 2nd Ward, 3rd Ward, I think Pat Lotney will do better than he will do in the 6th Ward. Remember with this election, and basically every election in Dunmore these days is about the landfill, whether you're in favor, opposed, what your position is. Max Conaway is an upstart candidate with respect to politics, and Pat Lotney has been mayor for many years until his defeat by about 7 or so votes 4 years ago.
Yeah, when you said 7, you meant 7.
Yeah, right, 7 votes. 7 votes.
So you think your vote doesn't count, it counts in Dunmore.
It counts, and it counts in Dunmore. And what I'm told is that he has worked harder in this race than he's worked in decades. So it'll just be interesting. Max Conaway's running kind of like Pat Lotney did 20 years ago, right? So you have this insurgent upstart who has a strong anti-landfill, I believe, position with respect to that. Pat Lotney also has a very reasonable position with respect to the landfill as well. So we'll see if that issue plays that big of a role tonight. Pat Lotney's got infrastructure for decades. Max Conaway has the energy, he's got the youth, he's got the charisma about him.
A great family name in Dunmore.
And a very, Attorney Mark Conaway, a tremendous person. His mom passed away a few years ago, Molly, also a tremendous person. So they come from a great family. Jack Conaway, former Dunmore councilman, beloved in Dunmore, a fabulous human being. So the Conaway name is very, very strong. Don't underestimate the Lotney name either, because Pat Lotney is as capable and competent as you'll find.
We'll get the conflicts out of the way here early. You endorsed former Mayor Lockney in this race.
I did.
Max Conway is engaged to be married to our weekend meteorologist, Allie Gallo. They would have been married already had it not been for the pandemic, pushed it back to this year. So get that out of the way, you know, where everybody stands in that situation.
And two great candidates. So the winners tonight will be the borough of Dunmore. You have two incredible families, two great candidates. So Dunmore wins tonight.
Mm-hmm. We're getting some numbers in some of these smaller races, and so the numbers are rolling in. We can start looking at what we have. No update yet in the state Senate, still at 2%. That we got those early numbers in the Flynn and Schermack race, and then we haven't seen anything since. Interesting. We are up to about 12% now on the constitutional amendments. Let's update those numbers while we have a chance, Emily, and see where we're standing now that we're getting past what we presume the mail-in ballots. We're starting to get some more votes. As we're getting into now a good 400,000 votes being cast right now. So ending the disaster relief, still the no votes at 12% of the precincts. The no votes still outpacing the yes.
You know what's very interesting about this is it's tracking Republican and Democratic registrations, with the independents going with the Democrats. The state numbers, I mean, this is going right down a party line vote. Republicans are 39% of the state electorate. They're now at about 38% here. So if you're a Republican, you're probably a yes. If you are a Democrat or an independent, you're a strong no. But this is really tracking Democrat-Republican politics, and each one of these as you see them.
All right, and they seem to be right on pace. The two no's seem to be about even in terms of the amount of votes coming in. That's the emergency declaration limit. That's the second of the two questions, with 239,000 no votes. Ending the disaster emergency, 237,000 votes. So very, very close, and they all seem to be running. It doesn't seem that there's anyone splitting their ticket, if you will, in terms of these two constitutional amendments, the first two that we got a chance to vote on today.
Yeah, you know, the power right now of the Democratic Party in statewide elections is really interesting. It's something else to witness here. If you're a Republican from a statewide standpoint, they really have to find some new solutions, find some other approaches, because the Democrats right now are extremely strong on the statewide level. And that can pose some problems on that state Supreme Court seat in November and some of these other statewide elections. So if you're a Democrat out there, you're feeling pretty good about your statewide infrastructure. If you're a Republican, look to rebuild it, look to do something different, take a different approach, because it isn't working.
The Republicans did, we should point out, win 2 row offices last year. First time that's happened in more than a decade. So there is hope.
There is hope.
Some good candidates for state Supreme Court. We will see how that turns out. Quick break for us as our numbers are grinding to a halt here at almost 9:30. Come on, folks, give us something to talk about. We'll be back in 2 minutes on The Deuce.
Do you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Maxed out on your credit cards? Constantly worried about how you're going to make your monthly payments? If so, we have an urgent message for you. Freedom Debt Relief can help you lower your monthly payments, reduce how much you owe, and help you get out of debt in as little as 24 to 48 months. Do not spend another minute stressing over how to pay your credit card bills. To find out how much you could save, go to freedomdebtrelief.com or call the number on your screen. Our team of experts are standing by to take your call. Freedom Debt Relief has helped over 500,000 customers just like you to take back control of their life.
After a year, my first credit card was paid off, then the second, then the third. And I thought, oh my God, this is gonna work.
The bigger your debt, the more money you could save.
For free information, call now 1-800-834-7203. That's 1-800-834-7203, or go to freedomdebtrelief.com.
Attention, catheter patients on Medicare. Do you use catheters? Are you tired of using messy lubricants? Depending on your insurance, you could be eligible to receive up to 200 catheters shipped to you every month for free, simply by calling Comfort Medical right now. You can use a new catheter every time you catheterize. And Comfort Medical has the latest styles with no need for lubricant from leading manufacturers. It's simple. Comfort Medical will deal directly with Medicare and private insurers so you can focus on the important things in life. Call Comfort Medical right now. If you want the newest products delivered conveniently and discreetly to your door, then it's time to discover Comfort Medical. Call Comfort Medical now. Shipping is free, and you can rely on Comfort Medical to deliver most catheter brands directly to your door. Creating an account and placing your first order with Comfort Medical has never been easier. Visit comfortmedical.com/TV to get started. Call now for a free Comfort kit and a free sample.
Call 1-800-221-8362. That's 1-800-221-8362.
Welcome back to WNEP2. Scott Schaffer and Corey O'Brien. We've been with you for about 90 minutes now, and we're hoping that our last half hour gives us that surge towards some winners and losers. Take a look at very interesting. Before we get to that, there's a number of interesting county row office races. Not too many, but a few. In Lackawanna County, there's a race for the Republican nomination for sheriff. As a matter of fact, Glenn Capman and David Elliott, the former police chief in Scranton, winner of that race, goes against the incumbent, tall task, Mark McAndrew, the Democrat. Northumberland Prothonotary, there's a Republican race there. Wyoming County Coroner, I've been talking about this one for months. Marcho and Lunger are the two Republicans looking to win that race, and it actually will be a new face in that office in Wyoming County, which is something to talk about as well. But the one we want to get to first is the Democratic primary for Lackawanna County's Register of Wills. Now, you can debate all you want as to whether the Register of Wills should be an elected position. In Lackawanna County, it is. And the longtime incumbent, Fran Kowaleski, she has an opponent, and that opponent is pretty well known. Former County Commissioner Pat O'Malley. He was a Republican County Commissioner. He was a Democratic County Commissioner. He lost his renomination 2 years ago for another term as County Commissioner. Now he is back, and he is running against this entrenched Democrat, Kowaleski, for the job of Register of Wills, and the Democrat in this race will most likely be the winner in November as well. 25% of the precincts reporting Kowaleski with the early lead. Your thoughts?
Yeah, a few things. Fran Kowaleski's a fantastic elected official. I also believe Pat O'Malley's a fantastic former elected official, served with me as a county commissioner. So I'm partial to both candidates in this race because I think they're both excellent, and excellence in government's something that's important. A few things. Let's go back to the core principles, right? Voter registration. That's not an issue. It's a primary, right? Fundraising, although we have a Democratic endorsed candidate and a Democrat, and we have Pat O'Malley, who has not won a Democratic primary in the past, if memory serves. Fundraising, important component, probably not a big factor here. Job performance. Is there any issue out there of Fran Kowaleski's job performance? Probably not. So then we get down to momentum. And we get down to whether or not this is a change election. Momentum is tough in COVID. It's tough to really judge. It's tough to do. I can tell you with respect to momentum that no one will outwork Pat O'Malley. Outside of Judge Tom Munley, when he was running for office and was just at this feverish pitch, I have not seen anyone be able to outwork Pat O'Malley, including myself. So he's a very, very spirited campaigner. But it's COVID. That appeal, he can't get into those big groups. He can't shake all the hands that he has in the past. So that puts him in a disadvantage when you have somebody who's a very, very good campaigner. So the last one, is it a change election? It's not a change election. Not this time around. That puts Pat O'Malley at a distinct disadvantage in this race. It'll be interesting to see if the numbers hold with respect to Fran Kowaleski. But I feel like Pat O'Malley has a disadvantage with respect to this.
We talked about the Republican race for sheriff in Lackawanna County. Two fairly well-known names here. Dave Elliott is the former police chief in the city of Scranton, and Glenn Capman is a former deputy sheriff in Lackawanna County. So 25% of the precincts reporting this one's pretty close.
Two very good candidates. This is going to be a toss-up. You have two very good candidates, very qualified and competent candidates. Can they really, win in the fall? That's really going to be the question. Mark McAndrew is a very well-known, very well-liked sheriff. So can they be victorious in the fall? Probably not, in my estimation. But man, oh man, the Republicans have really fielded two outstanding candidates here with respect to this primary. So, Mark McAndrew will be working. He's worked throughout this primary process. I think he's really going to have to go to work with respect to this election because David Elliott or Catman are going to be tough challengers.
We'll stay in Lackawanna County and take a look at the judicial race. One seat open. We talked about this earlier. And here's some early numbers. 28% of the precincts reporting. This is the Democratic side. These are the two Democratic candidates. Again, only one nomination. So only the winner of this primary will be the Democratic nominee. And Mary Walsh Dempsey has a lead of about 1,100 votes right now over Paul Ware. We imagine Nisha Arora getting some Democratic votes, but we don't really think that she's going to be a factor on this. This is going to be a two-person race on the Democratic side. Interesting to see what the Republican side looks like in the same race. We don't have any numbers yet from the Republican side, which is too bad, because that would be interesting. I also talked to Emily about race number 101, and you wouldn't think we'd be talking about the mayor of Avoca, but we will because of these numbers that we have coming in. 33% of the precincts reporting. That's 1 out of 3 precincts in the borough of Avoca. The incumbent is Robert Mullen, and the Democratic challenger is John Boone, and that's why I found it interesting. A flat-footed tie at 33% of the votes.
Well, you know that the mayor of Avoca used to be called Burgess, and my grandfather's brother was the Burgess of Avoca.
How about that?
So how about that a few years back? Yeah. So it's a very interesting race. I'm thrilled we threw it up on the screen tonight.
We'll keep an eye on the Burgess of Avoca there at 104 to 104. But our focus tonight is mostly on the judicial races. We have another member of our news team covering the race in Luzern County. That is Newswatch 16's Carolyn Blackburn, and she is with the Kokora Kravitz campaign.
Scott, it has been a long day for candidate Alexandra Kokora. Scott, it has been a long day for candidate Alexandra Kokora Kravitz, going to different polling places throughout Luzern County. But she's now at her watch party here at the DuPont Volunteer Hose Company. Friends, family, and supporters are here watching as the votes come in for the Luzern County judge race. There are 2 open seats, and Kokora Kravitz hopes to fill one of them. She's currently a magisterial judge in the Pittston area. She was the first woman elected district judge in Luzern County.
It's been the honor of my life to serve as a magisterial district judge for the last 8 years, and I just wanted to be able to bring that experience to all the residents of Luzern County.
Polling places just closed over an hour ago. We'll keep you updated on this race on air and online at WNEP.com. Carolyn Blackburn, Newswatch 16, live here in Luzern County.
All right, Carolyn, thanks very much. Trying to take a look at those numbers from the race in Luzern County for judge, 602 and 603. We'll start with the Democratic side, the Republican side, Salavantis and Toohill. Now we're at 28% of the precincts reporting. Salavantis and Toohill are about what we expect on the Republican side. The former DA and current state representative from the Hazleton area. Bobeck certainly making a spirited run on both tickets at this point. Kokora Kravitz, who we just heard from, she's running lower there on the Republican side, and Laura Dennis is 5th. But the Democratic side has 2 nominations of its own, same 5 candidates. Doesn't mean we'll have the same 2 nominees. On this side, Jim Bobeck is doing quite well. Interesting to see. He's only trailing Salavantis by about 1,400 votes right now, with 28% of the precincts reporting. The next board will be the interesting one. How far is he ahead of the 3rd place person right now? And that is Kokora Kravitz, and he's a couple hundred votes ahead of her. So that looks like that is going to be a neck-and-neck race here, Kokora Kravitz and Bobeck, for that, what we perceive to be the final nomination there in Luzern County. And interesting, Tara Toohill bringing up the rear on the Democratic ticket. Is that a party thing?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is a party vote situation there, and the fall is going to be something, I think, probably a similar outcome with respect to the party politics. You really hit it there. The race here is between Bobeck and Kravitz, And I can tell you that Kravitz has an awful lot of support. Bobek's got a name, got a lot of name ID. Kravitz got a lot of support. So I would not underestimate her in any way. She is a very strong candidate in this race, and she may be able to pull ahead there. We'll see. With respect to that, Jim Bobek's got a good name and some name ID, which is going to help him too.
And we have the perceived geographic strengths. Kokura Kravitz in the Pittston area, Bobek in the Wilkes-Barre West Side area.
Does both candidates well. They drive those bases out. I mean, that Wilkes-Barre area is a tough thing to overcome. When I ran for Congress, I lost Wilkes-Barre, and that was kind of all I needed to lose.
And that was it.
Right? And that was it.
Well, we're glad to have you with us.
Happy to be here. It's a lot shorter commute.
Quick break here on WNEP2. As we get closer to the 10 o'clock hour, we'll transition over to Newswatch 16 at 10, but you have about 20 more minutes of us. So stay tuned. We're looking forward to it.
Hero Septic and Drain Cleaning salutes our healthcare professionals, first responders, and all essential workers who are on the front lines during this COVID-19 pandemic. There has been so much uncertainty in our lives. One thing that remains certain is how grateful we are for the opportunity to serve your families and businesses. Our sincere appreciation to all of those who are working to serve us during this time. From all of us at Bureau Septic and Drain Cleaning.
Stars Casino by PokerStars. I won $54,000 in Stars Casino. Play Stars Casino for your chance to win today. The best part was when I got to tell my mom in person and see her reaction. It was amazing. Stars Casino is home of the daily free bonus.
It's really exciting. Who doesn't like to win? Everybody likes to win.
I made a $5 bet and I won $2,500. Sign up today at starscasino.com to claim your free $50 bonus.
Is your credit score getting in the way of things you want to do? Personal loans through NetCredit help you borrow up to $10,000. So check your eligibility on netcredit.com today without affecting your credit score. You may even be able to build your credit history as you repay. NetCredit, a more personal loan.
Stem is precise, no margin for error.
Dare to forget that. Dare to have fun with it. Get weird with it. Dare to load their minds. Dare to explore. Dare to STEM. Learn more at She Can STEM.
16 to the rescue. See a new pet to adopt. Fridays on Newswatch 16 at 5:30. Sponsored by Invisible Fence of Northeast PA and Cocho Lincoln, Pennsylvania's largest Lincoln dealer. CochoLincoln.com.
It's Great Chefs Take Two on June 3rd. This free virtual celebration features cooking demonstrations and online raffle, live music, and stories from survivors. All proceeds support the Safe Housing Program. For more information, visit WRC-NEPA.
We are going to sprint to the finish here on WNEP2, our primary election night coverage. Scott Schaffer and Corey O'Brien, great to have you with us tonight. We have a lot to talk about in these last few minutes before we get to Newswatch 16 at 10. First news, since we talked about this race earlier, our inside sources in the race for mayor of Dunmore, and we've already told you about our inside sources, but we are being told that former Mayor Nibs Lockney has conceded this race to newcomer Max Conway.
That's what we're being told by both campaigns are reporting that information. We knew that this was going to be a heated race. I thought it'd be a closer race, but this was one of those races that was up for grabs. You have a real kind of insurgent, young, dynamic, energetic candidate in Max Conway who just really got it done tonight.
And let me just correct that. Nibs Lockney is not the incumbent mayor of Dunmore. He had been the longtime mayor. He lost 4 years ago by literally a half dozen votes, and he was attempting a comeback. So just so we're clear on that. Let's talk about the judge races because we have clearer pictures now of where we're going. And we'll begin in Lackawanna County. We saw these numbers a few minutes ago at 28%. One nomination in Lackawanna County. So Mary Walsh Dempsey on the Democratic side, she's up by a little more than 1,100 votes over Paul Ware. On the Republican side, our first look at these numbers, and it is indeed Nisha Arora, is on the Republican side. Well, there she is. She's coming up third on the Democratic ticket. That is to be expected. She wasn't even really trying to compete very strongly on the Democratic ticket. She was trying to compete very strongly on the Republican side, trying to seek that nomination. And apparently, that is paying off for her in the early voting. More than a quarter of the votes are in, and she has the lead over Mary Walsh Dempsey and Paul Ware. Right now, Ware is the odd man out in this race, but there's still a lot more votes to come.
You can't underestimate the strength of the Dempsey name. The Lenehan and Dempsey law firm, you have Dempsey Fashionable Laundry in Dunmore, which is an iconic brand. You know, the Dempsey name is very strong in Lackawanna County and has been invested in by people for decades. You can't underestimate that, especially in races where it's a legal race, whether it's a judicial race, a district attorney race. Those races, there's a lot that goes into that television, and having that brand identification and being able to link to that, it's powerful. And I think Mary Walsh Dempsey proves that tonight, once again in Lackawanna County, where we've seen this before.
Let's go to Luzern County. 2 seats up for grabs, ergo 2 nominations on each ticket. This is the Democratic side. Stephanie Salavantis is a Republican, the former district attorney, elected countywide several times already. Very strong candidate. No surprise that she would be doing well on the Democratic ticket. Jim Bobeck, that is the one to watch. The second nomination on the Democratic side. This is the one we need to watch tonight. Bobeck at 52-36. Alexandra Kokura-Kravitz at 48-10. She's the district magistrate in the Pittston area. That is that's the battle for that second nomination on the Democratic side. Tara Toohill is coming in 5th on the Democratic side. However, when we flip to the Republican side, that's where Tara Toohill, the Republican state representative from the Hazleton area, that is where she is doing well. Again, we want to see how far back Bobeck is for the third slot on the Republican side. Toohill's almost at 2,100 votes, and Bobeck's about 1,000 votes down. So it would almost seem that Salavantis and Toohill are going to be Republican nominees. Salavantis and someone else is going to be your Democratic nominee. That last nomination on the Democratic side, that's the one we're keeping an eye on all night long.
And that may be the winner in the fall. So it's so interesting. I mean, get the popcorn out. This one's not going to end early. It's going to be really interesting to see who that second nominee is on the Democratic side. I think that individual is going to have an edge in the fall. What I would say to Tara Toohill is what I said earlier. She's got to find a message. The fact that 2 judges are going to be on the family court and she likes kids is just not going to carry the day in the fall. So she has to kind of rebuild some message if she wants any chance to beat a Democrat in the fall.
And again, you're going to have a geographic component to that. Toohill from Hazleton, and the Democratic nominee, if it's not Toohill, is going to be someone from either Wilkes-Barre or Pittston, it would seem.
Very large voter strength there, Democratic strength and turnout strength.
Lower Luzern, they have that kind of chip on their shoulder. They have to turn out for their own. So we'll see how that goes. Schuylkill County, 2 seats up for grabs in Schuylkill County. On the Democratic side, Conville and Hobbs. Hobbs is actually a Republican, but of course everyone's cross-filed here in the race for judge. Conville's a well-known Democrat. So again, we want to see at 22% of the precincts reported, we got to see how far back the third candidate is, and that is the incumbent judge, Christina Hale. She too is a Republican. She was appointed judge, so now she has to run for the office. And Julie Wirt, the Democrat from Orwigsburg, is also here. Now here's the 2 Republicans who are running as a ticket. You see how many more votes there are on the Republican side in Schuylkill County, at least so far. Hale and Hobbs are running strongly here. So we might have a similar situation that we see in Luzern County, where Hobbs is in the position to win both nominations. Hale, the incumbent judge, is going to do well on the Republican side, and Conville has the early lead on the Democratic side. You ever see a situation where an incumbent judge did not win a race to keep a seat? Someone was appointed judge and then lost an election?
It happens. Judges aren't typically that political. They're not that politically savvy. They don't have big infrastructures. They run because they're jurists. They run because they want to be analytical thinkers on the bench. They don't necessarily enjoy or really get into the politics. So it's not as uncommon as you think. Typically, it's the situation of a yes or no kind of retention vote, and that ends up being a little bit more silly. But when you have an election like this, an election process, oftentimes judges don't fare that well shaking hands.
Interesting point. You would think that incumbency in that race would be so much more important, but it's certainly going to propel her, it would seem, to at least the Republican nomination.
You made an important point earlier, and I think it's one that we can't overlook. It's the partner. It's the partner concept here. And I think that's where the strength is. And that's where the strength may potentially be in the fall as well. If you look at two individuals who run as partners here, 1505, 1497, very close margins here with respect to that partnership.
Yeah.
That matters. That matters. It matters in politics. It makes running for office a lot easier when you have somebody else who can help bring people along and get you campaigning on a day when maybe you didn't want to campaign. So having the strength of two matters.
And the Republican nominees in Schuylkill County will have an advantage when we get to the fall. Central Pennsylvania, the Union Snyder open judgeship, one open seat, one nomination on each ticket. This is the Democratic side. Lori Hackenberg is the magistrate from Middleburg, and she has a lead of a little more than roughly 150 votes here, 23% of the precincts reporting. Brian Kerstetler is the ADA from Snyder County. Let's see how they're doing on the Republican side. And it's Hackenberg again with an even bigger vote margin now over Kerstetter. So Lori Hackenberg is in a strong position here to potentially wrap up this race tonight before we even get to the fall.
Yeah, and she has infrastructure. She has infrastructure. She's a proven winner. She's won before in a magisterial race. So I don't think it's a big surprise that she's up in this race. I would think that she will win at the end of the day. That experience matters and that infrastructure matters, and she has it, and her opponent doesn't have it as much.
And we have once the district magistrate gets elected judge, if that were to happen, then we have an election to replace them as magistrate. There's an election to replace Judge Hale, for example, in Schuylkill County, in the Frackville area. There is a contested magisterial race in western Lycoming County as well. So a lot to watch tonight. We're starting to get a clearer picture of where we stand. We have one more break to take as we speak. Then we're going to come back and wrap up this puppy before we head on into Newswatch 16 at 10. So don't go anywhere.
Never expected that my sunroof would have cost me $1,600. Thankfully, I had insurance and it was covered.
I saw the bill was over $1,200. What I paid was a $100 deductible.
As a mechanic, I always recommend my customers have an auto protection plan. You never know when a breakdown can strike, and you need coverage you can count on.
A broken AC unit costs over $1,800. Transmission over $3,000, and an engine over $4,000.
In the lifespan of my policy with Endurance, I've had 5 claims. That is $3,500 that I've kept in my pocket.
Call now and we'll upgrade you to an Endurance Elite membership free with thousands of dollars of benefits at no extra cost. We offer affordable down payments, low monthly plans, and a money-back guarantee.
So don't drive another second without total protection from Endurance.
Call 800-316-1461 for a free quote. That's 800-316-1461.
Add your pictures to the PhotoLink library at WNEP.
9:52 in the p.m. The polls have been closed for nearly 2 hours. We've been on the air for nearly 2 hours. It flies by.
Flies by.
Some races we haven't talked too much about, the row offices. We touched on a few of them earlier in this hour. And let's take a look at where we stand now with our updated numbers. We're up over 30% of the votes having been tabulated in Lackawanna County. And again, Fran Kowaleski still holding on to a very strong lead over Pat O'Malley, the former county commissioner, trying to make a comeback here in the Democratic primary for Register of Wills. Doesn't seem like he's getting a lot of traction early on here.
No, it looks like Fran Kowaleski, the incumbent, holds this 31%. There's got to be a real sea change here for Pat O'Malley to pull this victory out.
Also in Lackawanna County, no incumbent in the Republican primary for county sheriff. David Elliott and Glenn Kapman. This race is still as close as it can be. 4 votes separating the two candidates here, with 31% of the precincts reporting. Elliott is the former police chief in the city of Scranton, and Kapman, former sheriff's deputy in Lackawanna County. What do you think about that? Close.
Well, for Glenn Kapman to be doing, and Glenn Kapman's a good individual, for him to be doing that well when David Elliott coming out of the city of Scranton, you know, with the strength that the city of Scranton would provide, it's really an interesting race. This is one certainly to look at, but it just goes to show you that you had 2 individuals here who ran great campaigns. To get within a 50-50 margin like this, whoever wins is going to be strong. Are they going to be strong enough against a Sheriff Mark McAndrew? I'm not so sure about that. But with respect to this primary, these are 2 candidates that left it all on the field and did the best they could, and it's reflected in the numbers tonight.
Is Scranton strong on the Republican side in a Republican primary? Is being from Scranton strong?
I think it matters. I think it matters because there's just more votes. There's simply more votes.
All right. There are other row offices we are talking about. How about the sheriff in Lycoming County? We haven't given this race much airtime tonight. Mark Lusk is the incumbent Republican. Daniel Straley of Montoursville is a deputy sheriff in Sullivan County, and he was the police chief in Montoursville for a time. Lusk, the incumbent, and we have 100% of the precincts reporting, so I think he's in pretty strong position here with an 1,100 vote victory over Straley. There's a prothonotary race in Northumberland County. I don't believe we have any numbers for yet in Northumberland County. And then we have a race, Republican race for sheriff in Wayne County, and again, the incumbent sheriff here doing quite well. 31% of the precincts reporting in Wayne County, but a pretty strong lead for incumbent Republican Christopher Rossler, looking for another term as sheriff in Wayne County. We have a little more than a minute and a half. Corey, wrap it up for us. What do we take home from this so far tonight?
Is this a change election? The voters have spoken. We thought early on when we started the program tonight that this was not a change election, and the voters have ratified and confirmed that. Not a change election. Job performance matters. Incumbents are winning based on that job performance. Open seats are going to individuals at this point with a lot of popularity, a lot of name recognition. We think about that race, that judicial race in Lackawanna County, among others, where name recognition has mattered. So I think the moral of the story is that it's not a change election. Job performance has won the day. We have some upsets. We have some fresh blood and some new energy in some races and some elections, and that's important. It's important for our politics. It's important for those young kids who grow up and think about whether being in politics and government's a noble and worthy profession. Hopefully the individuals who win tonight will prove and demonstrate to us in November and after that politics and serving in public office is a noble and worthy profession.
I echo those words strongly. Thank you very much, Corey. Thanks for being with us. We're going to head right into Newswatch 16 at 10 after a break. More coverage of the primary election that is ongoing. We think we're going to have something to say about the city of Scranton here very, very soon. Thank you for being with us here on primary election night. We hope you'll stay with us on WNEP2 as we smooth right into Newswatch 16 at 10.
Brakes is a new kind of auto protection plan that gives you more. You gotta have a protection plan, or you'll be paying the huge costs of auto repair on your own. Some plans charge you $150 a month, but Everything Brakes has plans that start at just $29.88 a month. That's all it takes to protect yourself from a huge auto repair bill.
I like Everything Brakes because they have lots of different plans. It's really affordable and they have really good customer service.
Everything Brakes also includes 24-hour roadside assistance, free towing, and free rental cars. With our loyalty program, you can earn rewards like free oil changes and brake pads. Everything Brakes covers more than cars, so act now and coverage for your smartphone will be included free. That's auto and phone protection for one low price. It's only a matter of time until something breaks, so don't wait. Call now for auto plans that start at just $29.88 a month and include phone coverage. Call right now and get more with Everything Brakes.
Call 800-897-0592 or visit everythingbrakes.com.
I want a lean, hard, sexy body. Where do I start?
The fitness headquarters.
I want muscular arms and jacked abs.
Go to the fitness headquarters.
I just want to lose some weight.
Ask the fitness gurus at the fitness headquarters. Plus, build your home gym and get huge savings like these. Buy where the gyms buy. From the experts at the fitness headquarters. Come and ask the fitness headquarters how to reach your goals. Weight loss, muscle building, recovery. Now's the time to work out at home. Visit the fitness headquarters.
Bureau Septic and Drain Cleaning salutes our healthcare professionals, first responders, and all essential workers who are on the front lines during this COVID-19 pandemic. There has been so much uncertainty in our lives. One thing that remains certain is how grateful we are for the opportunity to serve your families and businesses. Our sincere appreciation to all of those who are working to serve us during this time. From all of us at Bureau Septic and Drain Cleaning.
Why should you watch Pennsylvania Outdoor Life?
Because our day starts with the Roosters, and we'll always go to bat for you. We've certainly racked up a lot of shows over the years, and like the ice covering a frozen lake, now we can cover the entire lake for you.
So check out Pennsylvania Outdoor Life, Sunday mornings at 11 on WNEP.
And you can always watch Pennsylvania Outdoor Life on the web.
I am blind, but I need not see. I know this road is there for me.
Before you fill up at the pump, you can find the best gas prices near you. Text the word gas to 570-826-1616 or go to WNEP.com/gas tracker.